My name is Diane Martinez, and I'm the woman who turned her vow renewal ceremony into a divorce announcement in front of 200 guests. 25 years of marriage. A quarter century. Most people would celebrate that milestone with joy and gratitude. I celebrated it with the truth. Let me take you back to the beginning. I met Thomas Martinez when I was 23 years old. I was working as a receptionist at a car dealership in Phoenix. He was a salesman, charming, good-looking, smooth talker. I'm going to own this dealership someday, he told me on our first date. I believed him. Thomas had that quality. You believed what he said because he said it with such confidence. We dated for a year. Got married at the courthouse with 2 witnesses. We couldn't afford a big wedding. I wore a white dress from Macy's. He wore a suit he'd borrowed from his brother. Someday we'll have the wedding you deserve, he promised. We built a life together. Thomas worked his way up. Salesman to sales manager to general manager. By the time we'd been married 10 years, he was part owner of 3 dealerships across Arizona. I'd quit my job when our twins, Michael and Maria, were born. Thomas insisted. Stay home with the kids, he said. I'm making enough money. They need their mother. So I did. I raised our children. I managed our home. I hosted dinners for Thomas's business partners. I was the supportive wife. By our 20th anniversary, Thomas owned 7 dealerships. We were wealthy. Really wealthy. Big house in Scottsdale. Vacation home in California. Country club memberships. Thomas decided we should renew our vows. We never had a real wedding, he said. Let's do it right for our 25th. Big ceremony. All our friends and family. Make it special. I loved the idea. 25 years together. 2 children we'd raised. A life we'd built. It felt worth celebrating. I started planning a year in advance. Thomas gave me a budget. $150,000. Go big, he said. We can afford it. I booked the Arizona Biltmore Resort, the most beautiful venue in Phoenix. The ceremony would be in the garden at sunset. The reception in the grand ballroom. I hired a wedding planner, florists, caterers, a band, a photographer and videographer. I designed custom invitations, sent them to 200 people, our friends, our family, Thomas's business partners, our children's godparents. I bought a dress, a beautiful white gown with lace details. Cost $8,000. Thomas said I deserved it. I worked with an officiant to write new vows. Vows that reflected 25 years of marriage, of growth, of partnership. The ceremony was scheduled for Saturday, October 12th. Everything was perfect. Until September 23rd. That's when I found out Thomas had another family. It started with a phone call. A woman named Lisa. I didn't recognize the name. Is this Diane Martinez? She asked. Yes. Who's this? My name is Lisa Cordava. I need to talk to you about Thomas. My stomach dropped. What about him? I'm his. I was his girlfriend. For 6 years. Until last week when he broke up with me. The room started spinning. That's impossible, I said. Thomas is my husband. We've been married for almost 25 years. Silence on the other end. Then, I know. He told me. Last week. That's why I'm calling. I sat down. Lisa talked for 20 minutes. She told me everything. She'd met Thomas 7 years ago at one of his dealerships. She'd come in to buy a car. He'd sold her one. Asked her to dinner. She was 34 years old. Divorced. No kids. Thomas told her he was divorced too. Told her he had an ex-wife he didn't talk about. Said it was a messy separation. They started dating. 6 months in, he told her he loved her. A year in, he asked her to move in with him. Into an apartment he rented in Tempe. Under his name. For 6 years, they lived together part-time. Thomas told her he traveled for work, had to be in other cities for the dealerships. She believed him. He spent Monday through Wednesday with her. Thursday through Sunday with me. I thought he was working late. Sleeping at hotels near the dealerships. Managing business. He was living a double life. Lisa found out the truth 3 weeks earlier. She'd surprised him at the Scottsdale house, our house, to drop off a birthday gift. I'd answered the door. Can I help you? I'd asked. Lisa had stared at me. I'm looking for Thomas Martinez. He's not home yet. Can I give him a message? That's when Lisa saw the family photos on the wall behind me. Thomas and me at our 20th anniversary party. Thomas with our kids. A happy anniversary card on the entry table. She'd made an excuse and left. Confronted Thomas that night. He'd admitted everything. Said he was ending their relationship. Said he was recommitting to his marriage. We had a vow renewal coming up. Lisa was devastated. Angry. Betrayed. I'm calling you because you deserve to know, she told me. Before you stand up there and renew vows with a man who's been lying to both of us for 6 years. After we hung up, I sat in silence for an hour. Then I called a private investigator. The investigator confirmed everything in 3 days. The apartment lease. In Thomas's name. $3,200 a month for 6 years. Paid from a business account I didn't have access to. Credit card statements showing purchases I'd never seen. Jewelry for Lisa. Dinners. Weekend trips when he told me he was at dealership conferences. Photos. The investigator had followed Thomas for 3 days. Watched him go to the Tempe apartment. Watched Lisa let him in. Watched them act like a couple. 6 years of lies. 6 years of a secret life. While I was planning our vow renewal ceremony, I made a decision. The ceremony would go on, but I was going to change my vows. I didn't confront Thomas. I acted completely normal. Continued planning the ceremony. Chose the flowers, white roses and orchids. Finalized the menu, filet mignon and lobster tail. Confirmed the band. Thomas had no idea I knew. He helped me practice our vows. The ones we'd written together with the officiant. Beautiful promises about the next 25 years. I'm so excited for this, he said one night. A fresh start. Recommitting to us. I smiled. Me too. I met with the officiant privately. Told her I wanted to change my vows. Last-minute inspiration, I said. I want to speak from the heart. She agreed. I wrote new vows. Printed them out. Memorized them. I told our children, Michael and Maria, both 23, both graduated from college, that I had a surprise element in the ceremony. What kind of surprise? Maria asked. You'll see, I said. Just trust me. The week before the ceremony, I met with a divorce attorney. Filed preliminary paperwork. Had it ready to serve. I withdrew $200,000 from our joint account. Opened a separate account in my name only. Insurance. I packed important documents, birth certificates, social security cards, financial records. Put them in a safety deposit box. I prepared. Saturday, October 12th arrived. The Arizona Biltmore was stunning. The garden was decorated with thousands of white flowers. White chairs for 200 guests. An archway covered in roses where we'd stand. The sunset timing was perfect. Golden light streaming through the palm trees. Guests started arriving at 5 p.m. Our friends. Our family. Thomas's business partners. The people who'd been part of our lives for 25 years. I had a separate surprise for them too. I'd hired a process server. Told him to be ready with the divorce papers. Gave him explicit instructions. Our children walked me down the aisle at 5:30 p.m. Both of them on either side. They didn't know what I was planning, but they'd know soon. Thomas stood at the altar in a custom tuxedo. Smiling. Handsome. The perfect husband. The officiant began. We're gathered here today to witness Diane and Thomas renew their commitment to each other. 25 years of marriage. A beautiful milestone. She talked about marriage, partnership, love. Then it was time for vows. Thomas, the officiant said, would you like to share your vows? Thomas pulled out his prepared statement. Read it beautifully. Talked about our 25 years together. Our children. Our life. Promises for the future. I promise to love you, cherish you, and be faithful to you for the next 25 years and beyond, he finished. Faithful. The guests smiled. Some wiped tears. Then the officiant turned to me. Diane, your vows? I pulled out my paper. But I didn't read the vows Thomas expected. I read the truth. Thomas, I began. 25 years ago, we stood in a courthouse and made promises to each other. For better or worse. In sickness and health. Forsaking all others. I paused. I kept those promises. Every single one. I supported you when you were a struggling car salesman. I raised our children while you built your business empire. I stood beside you at every business dinner, every dealership opening, every success. Thomas smiled. He thought this was going well. But you didn't keep your promises, Thomas. His smile faded. For the last 6 years, you've been living a double life. You rented an apartment in Tempe. You told a woman named Lisa Cordova that you were divorced. You spent Monday through Wednesday every week with her. You bought her jewelry with our money. You took her on trips while telling me you were at business conferences. The crowd went silent. Thomas's face turned red. Diane! I'm not finished, I said. I looked at the guests. 3 weeks ago, Lisa showed up at our house. She'd come to surprise Thomas with a birthday gift. She had no idea he was married. When she saw our family photos, when she saw me, she realized Thomas had been lying to her for 6 years. I turned back to Thomas. She called me, told me everything. I hired an investigator, confirmed all of it. The apartment, the credit cards, the double life. I pulled out copies of the evidence, handed them to the officiant, who looked shocked. So here are my vows, Thomas. I vow to divorce you. I vow to take half of everything you've built, the business, the houses, the assets. I vow to make sure everyone here knows exactly who you are. I signaled to the process server, who was standing at the back. He walked forward and handed Thomas the divorce papers. You're being served, I said. Our marriage is over. The crowd erupted. Gasps. Whispers. Some people stood up. Thomas tried to grab my arm. Diane, wait. Don't touch me, I said calmly. I looked at our children. Maria was crying. Michael looked furious, at his father. I turned to the guests. There will not be a reception. The ceremony is over. Thank you all for coming. The truth needed to be witnessed. I walked back down the aisle. Alone. Behind me, chaos. Thomas shouting. Guests confused. His business partners looking horrified. I got into the car I'd arranged, a hired driver, and left. Left Thomas standing at the altar with divorce papers in his hand and 200 witnesses to his humiliation. The aftermath was spectacular. Thomas's business partners were furious. Turned out several of them had brought their wives to the ceremony. Those wives now had questions about their own husbands' business trips. One partnership dissolved within a month. Another demanded a full audit of business expenses. Concerned Thomas had been using company funds for personal affairs. The divorce was brutal. Thomas tried to argue I'd humiliated him publicly and that I should get less in the settlement as punishment. My lawyer laughed. We had evidence of the apartment. The affair. 6 years of financial deception. Money moved to accounts I didn't have access to. The judge was not sympathetic to Thomas. I got the Scottsdale house, worth $2.3 million. 50% of all dealership ownership stakes, valued at $8.4 million. Half of retirement accounts, $1.2 million. Alimony for 10 years, $12,000 per month. All attorney's fees paid by Thomas. Total settlement, approximately $11.9 million in assets plus alimony. Thomas tried to reconcile with our children. Maria eventually forgave him. Michael didn't speak to him for 2 years. Lisa called me once after the ceremony. "Thank you," she said, "for having the courage to expose him. I've spent 6 years of my life on a lie. At least now I know the truth." "We both deserved the truth," I told her. "I'm 51 now. 3 years past the vow renewal that wasn't. I sold the Scottsdale house. Too many memories. Bought a smaller place in Sedona. I went back to school. Got my real estate license. Started my own business. I'm dating. Casually. Honestly. No more secrets. My children are proud of me. Maria told me she'll never let a man deceive her the way her father deceived me. You showed me what it looks like to stand up for yourself, Mom," she said. "Sometimes people ask me if I regret the public nature of the divorce announcement. I don't. Thomas was planning to renew vows he'd already broken. Planning to make promises in front of 200 people while maintaining a secret life. I simply made sure those 200 people knew the truth. Vows are supposed to be sacred, but truth is more sacred than lies. And that day I chose truth.